Oh, yeah. We live. Maybe. There's a red dot.
All right.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Online Edge podcast. This is the first one that we've done live on YouTube, so we're pretty excited for that. We're going to
pretty
be
excited about that.
talking today about a couple of different things. We're going to be talking about how to stand out in our marketing efforts. And so right now, with really marketing kind of being available to everybody, touch of a button, these things, everybody's got 4K video machines, sometimes 8K. There's phones out there that do crazy stuff right now.
Yeah.
We have content creation machines that we all have access to. So really, we got to figure out real ways of standing out. That I talked with a client a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me how back in the day, you just had to, get a yellow page, half page, or full page ad, and
it wasn't that long ago.
Right. And he was like, $4,000 a month, it was pretty expensive, but that's all I had to do.
Yeah.
That's all I had to think about.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to get phone calls. And so, obviously life has changed just a little bit since then.
Now we have this thing called Google,
yeah,
which replaced Yellow Pages. But
and exactly right. So we want to talk today.
and it can be just as expensive.
Or more expensive.
Yeah,
a lot
we're
of
done.
ways. Yeah. So we wanted to talk today about ways of you standing out with really the principles we're going to talk about are not going to be just digital, even though we'll use a lot of digital examples because that's our world. But ways of standing out in marketing,
Print, everything.
Period. We want to help you stand out above and beyond the competition. This is one of the most common questions I get. It's some variation of this, like how do we make an impact? Here's what my competition's doing. And the number one mistake that you can make is look and see what your competition is doing, and then just try to do exactly what they're doing. I field those conversations, those phone calls, at least once a week, sometimes multiple times a week. That's not the direction that we want to go, because that's not standing out. That's blending in. And at that point, if they've been doing something and gotten some traction with it, if it's a style thing, if it's something that's specific to them, and you go that direction, then it becomes a situation where you're just kind of one of the crowd at that point instead of being a leader.
For example,
Yeah.
fast, reliable service.
Yeah. There's all sorts of,
you know what I mean? Like everybody has, like how many different, contractor websites, especially people that are in the emergency response space, right? Plumbers, electricians, HVAC, that have fast, reliable service. You go to the next competitor site, the next site below that,
Right.
fast, reliable service. Okay, well, what does that even mean?
Or honest, or
honest,
whatever it
dependable.
happens to be. Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. So we want to help. There are moments in time where that becomes something that you can do, especially if you're first to a space.
Yeah.
But if you're not the first to the space, then we don't want to use the same tired old terms over and over and over again. So I want to talk about a couple of different things, because for a lot of who we're talking about local businesses. We're talking about local businesses that are specifically, they do have competition more times than not. So we're talking about local businesses that specifically are trying to stand out in a crowded space. So we, for instance, live in the DFW area, Dallas, Fort Worth, just down the street for us, and so there's very few industries that you can get into where there's no competition. And if there is competition, that means that you need the ability to stand out in a crowd. And you don't do that by doing exactly what your competition is doing. So let's talk about a couple of principles of some things that you can do to make sure that you're standing out. One of the things I would look at is kind of, let's survey the digital landscape. And we'll use digital for right now as the example. So survey the digital landscape. Check out what your competition is doing. Check out the platforms that they're on, the platforms that they're not on, how often they're posting, all that sort of stuff. Not so that you can copy them, but so that you can take what they're doing and take it up a notch, or best case scenario would be take it up 10 notches. Like, what can we do that they're not doing? So that might mean that you're starting a podcast. That might mean that you're starting an industry podcast where you can, if you're a plumber, we use the trades a lot as examples.
That's actually a really cool point, and that's the reason that you even say that. There's a guy, I forget his channel to plug in, but I came across him on LinkedIn probably about 6 months ago now. He just passed 200,000 subscribers.
Amazing.
And he is going live on his LinkedIn every day, and his YouTube channel. And he is blown up. And he's just talking about stuff related to the plumbing industry. And he is crushing it right now. And it's just because he started a podcast. And there's not I've not seen another plumber start a podcast.
Let me ask you this.
And start talking about that information.
Is he talking to his customers?
Both.
Or is he talking to other people in the industry?
Both.
Okay.
Both. He's talking about what are the things that you need to pay attention to when you hire a plumber. What are the things like when you talk about a master plumber, what does that mean? All of that kind of stuff. And then he's talking to specific plumbers saying, hey guys, well, how do we make the industry better? And he's getting plumbers that send in questions or something like that, and he's answering those questions because I think he's like a master plumber or something like that.
That's amazing. So one of the things he's doing right now is he's positioning himself. I didn't even know about this example, so this was brilliant that this came up, and it came up the way it came up. He's positioning himself not just to be somebody who's producing all this content for
Roger Wakefield.
Awesome. So Roger Wakefield, you're doing a great job. Thus saith Luke. He's positioning himself not just to be producing all this content so that people who may be customers can find him and he can help them with their needs. He's also positioning himself to be an industry leader. So he takes this forefront. So if you've heard of this guy and you're seeing him interacting with other plumbers and that kind of stuff, if he's the one kind of asking the questions, he's the one kind of positioning everything. He's positioned himself to be a leader even amongst his competition at that point, which is a really unique place to be. So again, I'm talking about, podcast. Maybe you survey and say, okay, none of my competition's on Instagram right now. It's still early enough in Instagram where that's the case sometimes.
Yeah.
Where you can look all over the Dallas area or whatever, Chicago, Denver, whatever place you live in. And smaller towns better, but that means that there's probably less likely that's the case with somebody else. So you can just kind of survey where your competition is, survey where your competition isn't, and in a lot of possibility there falls in a place where they aren't there yet, which means that if you can start a podcast early on before somebody else does, like if I were a plumber right now and I saw the traction this guy was getting, the temptation would be, I need to go right now and start going live every day on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's doing. Look at the kind of results he's gotten. I'm going to look and see, okay, he's gotten some amazing results from going live every day on LinkedIn. Is he going live every day on Instagram? Because if the answer is no to that, I'm going to start going live every day on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's more people on Instagram, and my customers and clients are on Instagram. So I may... So those are the types of questions that you need to ask yourself. The temptation is always going to be to copy, but if you want to stand out, and that's what this episode is all about, then copying is not the answer. The answer is, yes, we can learn. Yes, we can see what other people are doing and grab a hold of that. I'm not asking you to be the most digitally creative person, the most creative marketing person in the history of the world. What I'm saying is look at other patterns of how people have succeeded. And right then, if we were talking to a client right now that's a plumber, right then I would immediately say to that client, okay, we've got somebody right now that owns the space in this area on LinkedIn. We don't want to go on LinkedIn, but man, he's got a lot of traction. He's doing some amazing stuff. We can learn from that. What if you took over Instagram and made that your space for doing the very similar stuff, but with your style, with your attitude, with your personality, and that becomes a situation where now because there's so many different options out there, so many channels out there for you to stand out in. You've chosen this one, Instagram, in this illustration, to say this is the area that I want to make sure that I stand out in and really stand out from the competition. So that's principle one. Find out, survey the area, survey the land, look and see what competition's doing when they've got great ideas, like this amazing example that you just brought to our attention. When they have great ideas, awesome. Don't just sit here and try to carbon copy them, because inevitably the quality's going to be a little lower. The talent's going to be a little lower because this guy's been doing it a long time.
This guy's been doing it every day for 6 months.
You go live every day for 6 months, and your communication skills go through the roof.
100% agree.
Like, I guarantee you, if you looked at this guy's first video from 6 months ago and his video today,
totally different.
It's going to be completely different.
And his output of the quality of service that he's put out there, as far as the video quality, the audio quality, all that. He has a whole audio and video team now.
Fantastic.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but early on he didn't.
No, but he's got 10 million views and 140,000 subscribers on YouTube. And, you know, he's got probably the ability now to pay people to come in and actually shoot his stuff. So obviously he's going to be much different quality audio and video than somebody just setting up their iPhone and getting in front of it and talking. Not that should slow you down or scare you, but, you know, don't try to compete with that.
Right, and there becomes a situation where, you know, you have a baseline for what you're willing to do as far as quality, what you're willing to accept. And so what I would suggest doing is again, surveying the competition, see where their quality lies and that sort of thing. So a lot of times you may not be able to like, there's certain industries where it's going to be very difficult to hang with the competition when it comes to quality. So you have to stand out in other ways if that's the case. If you so happen to be in an industry, like for instance, plumbing is not particularly known for its high quality,
not at all,
marketing output.
I think that's maybe one of the reasons why he's got so much traffic, is that it's so different than every other plumber that's out there. Everybody's like, what?
Absolutely.
What is this? I mean, you've got...
If he started doing this in the fashion industry, for instance, it would not have the same impact that it's had in this industry, because I guarantee you, if you put him next to this high end fashion vlogger or something like that, they're going to win on quality still. Probably, I haven't seen his stuff, but it's going to be my guess is that they're still going to win on quality. What he's done is in an industry that was void of competition in this, he's decided to stand out. And then what he did is he took leaps ahead from probably doing it by himself or with one teammate. I'm just guessing right now, but you've seen this guy do it and you're nodding your head. So probably by himself or with one team member recording him on a phone, to buying microphones, to buying nice cameras, to a team now. And he's been able to make these jumps to make sure that he continues to stay ahead of the competition, because if he doesn't, then what happens is a bigger company comes along and just decides, you know what we're going to do? We can hire a team of 10 people to do this. And he's gotten some great success with this. So we're just going to leapfrog over him as far as influence in the industry is concerned. And at the end of the day, he has set himself up where that's not going to happen because of his commitment to continue to grow. So one thing is that we're discussing is, yes, some areas that you can stand out. The other thing that you can do is, and you're showing me right now, and this is great quality. This is a fantastic, fantastic quality.
For a plumber and any of that kind of stuff. And he's got guests on.
That's fantastic.
I mean, he's got everything. And so some shows he's talking about, hey, if you're looking at getting into the plumbing industry, here's what you need to know. And then he's got another thing where he's like, okay, well, if you're talking about unclogging a sewer, all right, well, here's the things you need to know that somebody might do, and here's what we do. So it's a huge variety. You have no idea what he's going to talk about every day. But he's appealing to a lot of different people, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's been able to pull such a big audience, is that everybody's kind of like, whoa, I wonder what Roger's going to talk about today.
That's really good.
On the podcast.
So principle one is going to be go where your competition isn't. So if this guy's on Instagram on LinkedIn and YouTube, then I'm taking a hard right and going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And there's other really valid, really amazing possibilities. The second principle is, so if the first one is go where your competition isn't, the second one is, can I take 2, 3, 4, 5 steps up as far as the quality of my competition is concerned? Because if you can do that, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long they've been there and rocking it out. If all of a sudden your quality and the quality of content and the quality of information that you're giving is that much better, then you can leapfrog. So that's an amazing possibility as well. Yeah, go.
No, I was just going to say that's true. And I know a couple of people in the lawn care space and in the green industry where they kind of niched in on product research and stuff. And so they went into Instagram saying, hey, we're going to test different products on the market and we're going to put out content about us using that equipment and then telling you how well it worked.
Awesome.
And they've got 15, 20, 30,000 followers, and they have 100,000 views on YouTube and all this kind of stuff. And they're kind of separating themselves and putting themselves out there in a different position than everybody else is, you know? And so there's just a lot of different aspects that you can kind of take that in. It's just really about identifying what works best for you and what your competition's not doing, and how do you fit in there and make your own sea, like Red Sea,
really
Blue
good.
Sea.
So the last principle I kind of want to discuss today is so talking about being where your competition is, and talking about just getting to a point where you're able to kind of leapfrog them because of the quality side of stuff. The last thing I would say is cover things that are just you're going after. You're covering things that other people aren't covering. You're offering information. You're offering a glimpse behind the curtain. You're offering things that other people aren't offering. So the tendency for everybody in business when they think about marketing is, and I see this constantly, you know, every Facebook post is a call us today. Everything is just it's call to action, call to action, call to action, call to action. I love that because I get tired of that as a marketer.
Yeah.
I love seeing it because it means that like that's easy competition to take down. As a consumer, I abhor that because it just gets incredibly annoying that every time I go anywhere or log on to anything, I'm being asked to do something. There's never any type of value add whatsoever. You're not giving me anything. You're just asking something from me, and that's not good business. You want to ask at some point. And I love Gary Vaynerchuk's probably the one who's done the most work in this area with the book that he wrote forever ago called Jab, Jab. I think it's Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yep.
Is the title of the book, where it's the concept of jab, 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 right hook is give them something, give them something, give them something, ask for something. And his ratio is literally that. For every 3 things that you give them, so some level of a value add, you use the green industry as an example. So like, hey, we've tested this product. So now when I go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, wherever I grab that stuff from, I'll pass that one in the aisle. I've seen this one and it doesn't work so well, but this one works amazing. So you're adding value to me like that. There's other ways of adding value, you know, being able to see behind I always kind of talk about that behind the scenes stuff. That's interesting for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a reason why a lot of movies include director's cuts and behind the scenes stuff in the movies. So because people like seeing that kind of stuff. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. And you may have a customer client base that does like seeing that kind of stuff. If they do, then that's a value add. Other things that are value adds are giving things away that you wouldn't typically give away. So for instance, there's plenty of times where I show up in kind of a consulting type role where we sit down and I get paid to offer information over the course of a couple of hour meeting. There's also plenty of time where right now, getting super meta with this, we're giving information away for free right this second. Where this is something that if you're a client, that we're going to have some of these conversations. We're going to go a lot deeper and a lot more specific because we know you and we know
help you tailor your message and figure that what that is for you specifically. But
yeah, so anything that you can, anything you can give away, you should be able to do that where people are continuing to come in. If I'm to use the plumber example again, and I've got a couple of other examples, there's nothing wrong with a plumber walking through how to use a plunger and plunge your toilet and the best tactics in order to do that. And oddly enough, there are tactics in plunging toilets and doing it well.
I was going to say, I mean, there's almost in every industry, there's certain things that if you do it every day, you're going to have the secrets and the tips to make it better. And to do it more efficiently. So if you're giving that stuff out, hey, this is how you plunge a toilet and you get 100% success in 30 seconds, or this is how you dig a hole. So you're not digging a hole in the ground to plant your plant for 25 minutes. You can do it in 3. Like, here's how you grip a shovel. Here's how you dig a hole.
I want to watch that video because every time I've dug a hole, it's taken way too long.
Yeah.
So I need you to make that video.
I'll come
please.
teach you.
I appreciate that. But there's a lot of different ways where that's the case. Like for instance, in the lawn care industry, if you're showing somebody how to edge properly, that's you're like, well, I'm giving away all my secrets. I'm giving away all my information, sort of. But in all likelihood, what you've just done is positioned yourself to be somebody who knows how to do it. You're positioning yourself as an expert. And if the person wanted to mow their own grass and edge their own grass, then they'll do it. If they don't, you've now positioned yourself as an industry thought leader where now they want to work with you because they know, man, this guy doesn't just do it right. He can teach people how to do it right. That's next level stuff. That's amazing.
That, and they've seen you so much in that situation, they already feel like they know you.
Trust factor goes
like,
through the roof.
I know your voice. I know what you look like. I know who's going to be coming to my door. So now I almost have like a personal relationship with you, and you've never even been to my property. Or whatever that is.
I'm gonna say I'll leave us with the last two things. We kind of walked over the first three principles. I'm gonna leave us with the last two that I say every single time. For those of you who watch the podcast regularly, I hope you can quote me right now. Quality and consistency. Quality in whatever you do, and it needs to be at least meet the threshold of the competition, but I hope that you're trying to leapfrog them. We wanted to make sure that this podcast at least met the threshold of what competition was. The fact that we have a podcast sets us apart from most marketing companies. Yep. The quality level pretty darn high. So even if you do have a podcast, we went video with ours to make sure that we're that much more of a value add for people. And then we try our absolute darndest to be every single week with this thing. I think we've missed one in the time that we got this thing started, because we want the consistency to be there as well. If the quality's there and the consistency's there, and that's all relative. Our quality and our consistency is not as good as Steven Spielberg when he makes a movie.
Yeah.
So it's all relative. But when it comes to other people in our space, our quality and our consistency is at least as good. And in many, many, many cases, it's there and others aren't. And in many, many, many cases, it's 5, 6, 7 steps above what the competition is. If you can get the quality right and the consistency right, you're going to be successful. That's just the name of the game at that point. And the rest of these things are just different principles that you can put in your toolbox so that you can get there faster and more efficiently. But quality and consistency are the two things that are going to get you where you are trying to go and stand out on a digital landscape. All right, Luke, send us out, man.
Guys, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked us going live, hit us up. Ask some questions in a comment.
We would love that.
Something. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next week.
Boom.